Hello everyone, this is Suresh from Azure ADB. Today our topic is why we need to pass argument called date underscore format equal to none while defining the function. So there are reasons like how to cast multiple columns into specific data types. Suppose we have one data frame and you want to convert multiple columns data types. So that case we can use this one. Next, how the table looks before and after casting. So we'll see this one with example. We'll take one example sample data frame and before casting how data types will be there and after casting so how data types will get changed. So when the type is date or timestamp, so you can optionally pass date underscore format. The Spark knows that how to pass the string values into proper date time or timestamp. So we'll see mainly date and timestamp with examples now. So main purpose of this video is how to cast multiple columns into specific data types by passing this parameter date underscore format equal to none. So first what I'm doing, I'm creating one sample data frame. So this is called a default format. So default format means if you see here, I have two columns. One is a date column and one more is a timestamp column. And if you see this format, so this date column format is year, month, date. So that means it is in default format. And this timestamp also year, month, date, and time, hour, minute, second, millisecond, and time zone. So that means date column and timestamp column both are in default format. So that's why I mentioned here all rows of date and timestamp are in default format. And one more thing, if you observe here, same thing I written here. And one more point is when you create this data frame by using this data, all your columns will be string type. And if you see here, this is our sample data and these are my column names. And if you create a data frame by using spark.create data frame, and this is our sample data frame. This is the thing we are discussing about date column, timestamp column. And if you observe here, the data types, see by default, all the columns, it getting string type. So same thing I mentioned here. So all columns are in string type. So now what is our aim is how to cast. Cast means change the data type of multiple columns. If you see here name column, so this is string. Okay, so expected also string data type. But if you see age, salary, and experience, so these are all age and experience are integer columns. But by default, it getting as string type. So these two columns we need to convert it to integer type. And if you see salary, this is double type. But here we are getting string, so we need to convert from string to double. And if you see this is active column, this is actually Boolean values. So that means we need to convert this string data type to Boolean data type. And if you see date and timestamp column, by default, this is getting as string data type. So these two things we need to convert to this one to date type and this one to timestamp data type. So this is our sample data frame. So on top of this, what I'm doing, I'm defining one dictionary here, like call underscore type underscore map. So in this dictionary, I am defining each column data type here. So how many columns we have here? First one is name. So name, we are output also expected data type also string only. So that's why I'm not defining here. So mainly age, salary is active and except name, remaining all columns I want to convert to different data type. So first what I given age, this is my column name and this is my data type. So since I'm giving in dictionary type, so this is key value and this is key and this is value. So key will be column name and value is data type. So integer I want to convert to age column I want to convert it to integer type. And if you see salary, double. See here this one. So this I want to convert to double type and is active. So this one, so I want to convert to Boolean type. And this join date, we already discussed. This I want to convert to string to date type. And if you see experience, this one integer. And if you see last one, last underscore login, that is this column I want to convert to timestamp. So wherever I required different column, different data type, so those columns I defined here. So first I defined a dictionary. This is my requirement. So first we'll see different scenarios by using this dictionary. So my first scenario is I'm creating one function here. In this function, if you see, I written different conditions here. So first, this is my function name, and inside that I'm passing three parameters. One is a df is a data frame, and call underscore type map is that is a data type. So that is this dictionary I'm passing here. And one more is date underscore format equal to none. So in this video, we are going to discuss mainly on this topic. So why we need to pass here date underscore format equal to none. So that's what I mentioned here, date underscore format equal to none. And this is a default argument behavior. So here, what this function doing is, first we are passing two parameters, two arguments. One is a data frame and one more is a dictionary. So first I'm using for loop. So for column name comma data type in call type map. So that means here in this dictionary, I'm using dot items method. So that means from dictionary, if you use items method, it will pull both this one key and value, it will get output. So here key is column name and value is data type. So it will iterate one by one it will iterate. And what you do is, first I am converting to lowercase. So which one I'm doing? Data type. So data type means which one? This one. Value means this one. So these are all data types. First I'm converting to lower type. So why I'm converting here? If you see here, except this one, remaining all in lowercase only, but this int I is encapsulated. So this one I want to convert to lowercase so that this int and this int will be common. So after converting to lower, what I'm doing, first I'm checking by using if condition, if data underscore type is equal to string. So that means it will iterate one by one. First it will iterate integer, then double, then boolean, then date, then integer, timestamp. So it will iterate one by one and it will check if is there any string data type. So since we don't have any string, so next it will come to elif condition. And if you see in data type, so here I'm checking three conditions by using in operator. So there are chances that integer type can be defined these three different ways like int, capital int and integer. So data underscore type, this data type can be any of these three. So when it iterate, first what we'll get? First we'll get int. Okay, that means age column. So now we have int, we have age column. Then what will happen? Df dot with column. Here age will come. This age column I am converting to integer. So currently what is our age column? String. So that string I want to convert to integer. In next iteration, we have int also. Okay, capital int here. So experience column. So that means here that experience column also it will convert from string to integer type. Okay, next. So next it will come to this condition. So it will check for whether double or float type data types are there or not. So we have one double data type, that is salary. What it do, if you come to here salary, df dot with column name is salary, call of salary, that salary column it will convert to double data type. So next it will come to Boolean operation. And if you see Boolean data type, so we have one Boolean column that is active. So that is active, it will convert to Boolean data type. Next, it will check for date. So if you see here date, we have one column, join underscore date. So when it come to date, df dot with column, date. So here I'm using to underscore date function to convert this what is the column name to join underscore date. So why we are using to underscore date is our date column, it is in the format of see here year month date. Okay, but it is string. So now we need to convert this date string to date format. So for that we are using to underscore date function. So to underscore date function and column name we are passing. And since it is in default format, if you see here, since the date and the timestamp are in default format. So default format means it is in year, month, date. So in that particular case, no need to pass date underscore format. See here, I'm not passed any date format here because this particular column already it is in default format. So since I given date underscore format, none. So none, and here I am not passing any date format. Next, it will come to timestamp. So timestamp also for converting timestamp. So here I'm using to underscore timestamp. And here also I'm not passing any format here. Why? Because timestamp also it is in default format. And if you see here data, see here starting with year, month, date, and time. So since it is in default format, here what I'm doing is I'm converting string of timestamp to timestamp data type. So now this function is clear. So what this function do is now it is clear. Now what I'm doing, I'm calling this function here. This whole thing I'm calling here. So here first what I'm doing, this is my function. If I take a screenshot, so this is my function. And if you see here, df. So df is, this is the initial data frame name I given. So while creating sample data frame, I give this data frame name, df underscore default underscore format. And the next one is call type map. So call type map, so same parameter I given because I created dictionary by using this name. If you see here, call type map. So this dictionary I'm passing there. Now, what will happen? And you observe one more thing. I'm not passing here. This date format equal to none. In my first scenario, I'm not passing this date format equal to none. But still it will work. So why it will work is, here what I'm doing, applying casting with correct date or timestamp format. So here I given default format. That means as we discussed already, this date and timestamp already is default format. So that means this particular data in this data frame, date and timestamp are in default format. So since date and timestamp are in default format, no need to pass date underscore format. That means this one no need to pass. Why? Because Spark, Spark by default, it automatically converts to relevant data types. If it is in default format, it will convert automatically. If it is in a custom format, then only we need to define this format, date format. Okay, so now I'm passing this data frame and I'm passing this dictionary here. So based on that, see here, except name. So whatever I give this data types, it converting here. And if you observe here, so age converted to integer, salary double, is underscore active boolean, join date to date, experience integer, last underscore login equal to timestamp. So now based on this function and dictionary, it converted to respective data types. And here I made table to show the difference before applying schema. That means before applying casting, what is the data types, and after applying casting, cast, what is the data types. String, string to integer, string to double, string to boolean, string to date, string to integer, string to timestamp. Okay, so now same function I am using different way. So how I'm using different way? So here df underscore cast underscore format. So that means I created one more sample data frame. See here this one df underscore cast underscore format. So initially my name is given first sample data frame. My name is given df underscore default format. So here I given custom format, and here you see date calls custom format. So that means so this date and timestamp, now these are in custom format. So custom format means see here is starting with the date, month, date, year. So normally default format is year, month, date. So but it is in different format, custom format. So similar way timestamp also same. So it's not like default format year, month, date. So it is starting with month, date, year, and time. So that's why I mentioned here all rows and all rows of date and timestamp are in default format. And the same thing I mentioned here are in default format, and all columns are string type. If you create a data frame by using this sample data frame, and this is my data and columns, and if you observe here, these are all string type. So I created two different sample data frames. One is a df underscore default format. Second one is a df underscore custom format. So this data frame I am calling here. So in this function, I'm passing this our custom format data frame, and on top of that, I'm passing this call type map. So if you pass like this, you will get error. Why? Because here you not defined this one. Date underscore format is not defined. Why we are getting error is in data frame itself, I mentioned this is custom format. So what is custom format? I already told. So in this custom data frame, date and timestamp are in custom format. And if you see what is custom format, see here, if you want to get the correct, if you want to get past this one, you need to pass date underscore format equal to like this. So this function, you need to change like this. Okay, so see here. So currently I'm not defined this one. See here, we don't have this. That's why it's getting error. So what is telling this? The value in date column, we have these date values. So of the type string cannot be cached to date because it is malformed. So that means this is custom format. So Spark by default cannot handle this custom formats. So we need to define this format here. Since we are not defined here, it's throwing error. So what we need to pass here? So as per date and timestamp format, we need to pass here. So I given here this format, how we need to pass. In next cells, I will explain how to do this one. So here it is limiting to why we are getting this error. Okay, so whatever getting error, same I mentioned here. So this is same explanation I written here. So what I written is date underscore format as a default value of none. So this particular function, if you're passing date underscore format as none, what it does is if the user does not provide a date underscore format, the function still works. It will just treat date underscore format as none. So that means suppose if you add here date underscore format equal to none, what will happen is Spark uses its default date parsing rules. So what is the default rule is this one. So it should be in default format. Date and time should be in default format. Since this in custom format and since we are not defined date format, it's throwing error. So same thing I explained here. Now we'll go for next scenario. So now in this scenario, we'll see how to handle custom format. So this data frame, we already discussed about this data frame. And on top of that, what I'm doing, so here I'm created one more function, same function, little modification. So what is the modification is, so these are all same. So where I changed is, if you see here, I added format here. Here I added format here, and here I defined date underscore format. Okay, only for date and timestamp, because in custom format sample data frame, only these two columns are in custom format. So see here, I given one example. In date column, we have values in this format. So that means month, date, year. So that format I given here for date column. So now by using to underscore date, this particular column, since it is in this format, so now it will convert successfully to date format, default date format. Similar way, to underscore timestamp. Since we are defining date underscore format here, it will successfully convert to string to timestamp. So now this particular function I'm calling here, this function I'm calling here. So same function. And what is my here data frame is df underscore cust underscore format. So as I told, we have two data frames. Second data frame I took here, df underscore custom format one. And dictionary I'm passing here. And this format I'm passing here. See here, here I'm not mentioning this one. Default date underscore format equal to none, because in the place of date underscore format, I am defining this particular timestamp format. So my timestamp column currently it is in like this. So month, date, year, and time. So same format I'm defining here. See here, month, date, year, t, and time, hour, minute, second, millisecond, that I defined here. And now what will happen? This function, what will do? This data frame will go here, column type, data types will go here, and this format, it will go here. So date underscore format equal to this one. So when it goes here, this particular timestamp column, see here, now it converting to proper timestamp format. That means the default timestamp format, year, month, date. And if you observe here, this data types also got changed. So mainly join underscore date converted to date, and last underscore login converted to string, sorry, timestamp. And since date underscore format, only one format we can define here. So either timestamp or date. So for a date column, I manually define within function itself because both the formats we cannot define here. So here I'm defining timestamp format, and in this function I defined date format here. So what will happen? So whenever this date, no, so whenever it comes here, so this particular join underscore date I defined in dictionary as date type. So when this data type is equal to date, it will come this to underscore date function by using this default format. It will convert to this one date format. So similar way, timestamp also same. So in a dictionary, we defined timestamp also lost underscore login as timestamp. So data type equal to timestamp. Then by using to underscore timestamp, by using this format, that means by using this format, it will convert string timestamp to timestamp data type. So next scenario is date underscore format underscore map equal to none. So that means here again changing the minor change. So earlier I given date underscore format equal to none. So here I'm defining as date underscore format underscore map equal to none. Why? Because if you see this whole thing as same only, that is the only difference I made here. And a to underscore date and a to underscore timestamp. Here I took default format only. Here I am not defined any format. Now what I'm doing on top of this data frame, on top of this function. So I'm calling this function here. So in this function, which data frame I'm passing here? Default data frame I'm passing. So in default format, so this date and timestamp columns will be in default format and call type map. And I'm not passing this argument date underscore format underscore map. I'm not passing here. Why? Because my date and timestamps already in default format. So no need to pass that one. So Spark will handle default date and timestamp formats to respective data types. And next scenario is date underscore format underscore map equal to none, and date underscore format underscore map. I'm passing one dictionary here mainly for date and timestamp columns. So here I'm changing the function little change. So here I'm changing this argument date underscore format underscore map equal to none, and these two areas I'm changing here for date and timestamp. So here what I'm changing is to underscore date. So in previous scenario, I'm not defined format here. So here what I'm doing, date underscore format underscore map. So that means this one. So that what I'm doing, here I'm using get method, dot get date. And here dot get timestamp. So what it means is I'm calling this function here, this whole function I'm calling here. So here what I'm doing, I'm passing here custom format. So custom format means my date and the timestamp will be in custom format. And I'm passing this dictionary here. And on top of that, this parameter is there, no date underscore format underscore map that I'm passing as a dictionary here. So one is a date, one is a timestamp. So now what will happen? So these all scenarios initially we discussed. So now we'll discuss only these two scenarios. So whenever data type equal to date, what will happen? It will come to here. And what is this column? Join underscore date. So to underscore date of join underscore date column. And here what it does is date underscore format underscore map. That is this one. So this dictionary, from this dictionary, by using get method, it will pull the value. it will pull the value of date. If you see here, first key value pair is this one, date and this format. Since I mentioned dot get date, what it gives is output is this one, this format, this whole thing equivalent to this whole thing equivalent to this one, this format. So that means this custom format we are passing here. So it will convert string date to date format. And a similar way, when it comes to here, this format dot get timestamp. So that means from this dictionary dot get timestamp. So this timestamp value it will pass here. So that means this whole thing equivalent to this format. So to underscore timestamp for this particular column, timestamp column, by taking this format, by taking this custom format, it will convert string timestamp to timestamp value. So you can see here, see it converted string date to date and string timestamp to timestamp. See here, all data types got converted as per dictionary. So now next scenario is, so here also same thing, date underscore format underscore map equal to none. So here also I'm passing dictionary here, date underscore format. So one is date and one more is timestamp. So here our thing is a default format only. So date and timestamp are default format. So here what I'm doing, this is fine. And here one addition thing I'm adding this one. So here what I'm doing, fmt equal to none. If date underscore format underscore map is none, else date underscore format underscore map dot get column name. So that means if date underscore format underscore map, suppose if this is the none condition, it will take as none. Else it will take from this dictionary by using get method on that particular key value it will get from here. So remaining things are same. So only two areas I changed here. So here in elif condition, if target type is equal to date, so here I given two more conditions, if and else condition, if fmt. So that means, so if fmt, suppose if you are getting value, so that means here two conditions, one is none or getting the value here. So if fmt equal to none, what will happen? If fmt equal to none, it will go to this condition. Okay, so if fmt is value is available, then it will go to this condition. So similar way for timestamp also, if target underscore type equal to timestamp. So here also two conditions. So one is if fmt, then here what I'm doing, to underscore date. Okay, to underscore date and to underscore timestamp. So what it does is it will create two columns. So one is a date column, one is timestamp column. And in else condition, if fmt is none, then it will come here, and here it will create two columns. One is a date column and one is a timestamp column. So I'm calling this function here. Before calling, I'm defining this value here, date underscore format underscore map. So this one, date underscore format underscore map. So this one I'm defining here in the form of dictionary, this one. And if you call this function here, so here I'm taking default format and call type map, this dictionary, and date underscore format underscore map. I'm passing this one here. So now what will happen? Since we defined the this format, this whole thing, what will happen? So fmt equal to none if date underscore format underscore map is none. So that means this condition. But since we provided dictionary here, then what will happen? It will go to this one, df underscore format underscore map dot get call name. So that means what it does is, suppose first it will go to my underscore date, it will pick this format. Next it will go to this key value and it will pick this format. So now since FMT is available, that means for date column, it will go to this condition. So since FMT is available, it will go to if condition and it will go here. So date column, it will convert based on FMT. So here first, what is FMT? This format. Okay, so based on this format, first it will convert this date column. And if you see here, our output is this one, date column. And next, one more thing is in timestamp, our condition is if FMT. So FMT is available. So this FMT, it will pass here. Now what will pass here? Here FMT, now it will pass this one. Okay. So first it passed this date format here. So now second, it will pass this format here. So here both places. Now what will happen? Two columns it will generate. So one is, this is a default timestamp column name. If you see here, one is last login. This is default column now. So this column, it will convert to two columns. So one is last login underscore date, last login underscore TS. So that's what I defined here. So column name underscore date, column name underscore TS. So one is underscore date, one more is underscore TS. So now what will happen? First, by using toDate function, whatever timestamp column, it will convert to date. So our initial input is this one, last underscore login. It has a timestamp column. So by using to underscore date, it converting to date format. And in second, it converting by using to underscore timestamp, it converting to timestamp format. So that means string timestamp to timestamp. So for date, it creating one column. For timestamp, it creating two columns. Why? Because I given two conditions here in if condition. So if FMT is available, that means if this format is available, so then I want to generate these two columns. Okay, so that is about this function scenario. Next, all this explanation I given here. So whatever we discussed, same thing I written here. So next, our last scenario is this one. So as of now, we discussed about passing this date underscore format equal to none. So now we'll discuss about if you don't pass this format, what will happen. So Python will raise error like type error, missing one required positional argument, date underscore format. So by making it none, you can handle two cases. One is user provided a format. That means if user is provided a format, then use it. If user did not provide the format, so it telling that either fall back to default Spark behavior or skip formatting. So that means we'll see here. So there are two scenarios. One is simply mentioning date underscore format. One more is date underscore format. We are defining the format. So next, here I'm writing the function. So same thing, date underscore format. I think these are all same as our initial scenario. So same function I written here. So that function I'm calling here. Here what I'm doing, this date underscore format, I'm not adding here. So now what we want to see here based on our scenario, what will happen if you don't pass date underscore format. So this is for uh, which case, so I'm taking default format here. So we have two data frames. One is default format, second one is custom format. So here, first format I'm taking default format and passing dictionary here, and I'm not defining date underscore format. So since I'm not uh, adding here, it throwing as error. So missing one required positional argument date underscore format. So now on top of that, what I'm doing, I'm adding the format here. So here, two options. As initially here I mentioned, either you mention date underscore format equal to none, or you mention this format here. So here what I'm doing, I'm adding the format here. So I'm mentioning the format here. Now what will happen? So this date column and this timestamp column, it will convert to respective date type. That means string date, it convert to date type. String timestamp, it will convert to timestamp. Okay, so next one is, I think same thing. Only difference I made here is here I added this one function. So date format I added here. So instead of date format mentioning none, I am passing here get method dot get date dot get timestamp. So we already discussed what we'll get here input. So that same function I'm calling here. So here I'm passing the dictionary here. So based on this dictionary, so date underscore format underscore map dot get date. So that means from this date, it will give you the output, this format. And dot get timestamp means it will give you the this format. So now what will happen? This date. So for date, we given this custom format. So why we are defining here is because I'm taking this custom format sample data frame. So in custom format sample data frame, I have in this format. So date and timestamp. So since I mentioned those formats here, so this is my initial string date converted to string type. So string timestamp, it converted to timestamp. So based on these custom formats. So here I covered maximum scenarios. So under date underscore format. So that's all about this video. If you really like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.